No, when it comes to Jerusalem, I think that the Jews and the Palestinians are living in two completely different movies, and we don't even understand the movie of the other.
It's axis mundi. All of the components of a very bitter struggle are condensed within Silwan. It's literally the core of the volcano.
I have the right to start the clashes. I have the right to start fighting because I am under occupation.
ما بيخطوا خطوة للسلام السلطة المستوطنين ما بدهم يسووا سلام.
We will find them in their bedrooms, and we will not allow them to derail our project of coming back home.
We're in the neighborhood of Silwan in East Jerusalem, and if Jerusalem has become the symbol of the conflict between Israelis and Palestinians, Silwan is a very good example of that. There are more than 50,000 Palestinian residents in this neighborhood, as well as about 500 Jewish settlers that have moved in recent years. Silwan sits right at the feet of Jerusalem's old city, one of the most contested pieces of land in the world. Since Israel annexed Jerusalem in 1967, some organizations have worked to re-establish a Jewish presence in Silwan, building a large complex around the archaeological ruins of the city of David. In the last decade, Jewish families have also started to move in, building heavily secured enclaves surrounded by Palestinian homes. The move, supported by Israeli authorities, was widely condemned by the international community and by Palestinians, who see East Jerusalem as the capital of a future Palestinian state. Israel, for its part, claims one undivided Jerusalem as its capital. Daniel Seidman immigrated to Israel from New York in the 1970s. Here, he founded Terrestrial Jerusalem, an NGO that tracks developments in the city, like the construction of new settlements. Seidman, who is Jewish, would normally move freely across Palestinian neighborhoods, where he has many friends. But not anymore, as things in the city have recently taken a turn for the worse.
Usually, they get along okay. Jerusalem knows how to do it. It's been doing it for 1,300 years. But when Jerusalem is abused, as it has been recently, Jerusalem erupts, and what we're seeing is the crunching of the tectonic plates of civilizations, and it's all taking place in this small area. You guys have malls in the United States that have more floor space. You can see on the horizon vaguely, there is a huge Israeli flag fluttering in the wind. That's not a flag, that's a statement. You have flags like that in Turkey and Texas. What we're seeing is an attempt, very much backed by the government of Israel, to use these enclaves to transform this existing contemporary Palestinian area into a renewed pseudo-biblical theme park. This is where Judaism developed. This is where Christ was tried and crucified. It's also where Jesus healed the blind. And from Al-Aqsa Mosque and Haram al-Sharif, our Temple Mount, is where Muhammad ascended to heaven. It's all there. It's axis mundi. All of the components of a very bitter struggle are condensed within Silwan. It's literally the core of the volcano.
Jerusalem's history has always been marked by both conflict and coexistence. But since the summer of 2014, the city has seen a surge in violence that has left both communities on edge and is becoming more explosive by the day. Following the abduction and murder of 3 Israeli teenagers from a West Bank settlement, Israeli forces raided countless homes and arrested hundreds of people in both Jerusalem and the West Bank, sparking violent clashes. The murder also ignited a wave of anti-Palestinian sentiment in Jerusalem and a series of tit-for-tat attacks. A day after the boy's funeral, a 16-year-old Palestinian boy was abducted outside his home in East Jerusalem and later beaten and burnt alive by a group of Israelis. While we were in Jerusalem, a Palestinian bus driver was found hanged in his bus. Israeli authorities ruled the death as suicide, but Palestinians said it was a lynching. A few days later, 2 Palestinian cousins from East Jerusalem walked into a synagogue in an Orthodox neighborhood in West Jerusalem. Armed with meat cleavers, they attacked worshippers, killing 4 rabbis and a policeman. Everywhere we went, Jerusalem was on high alert, but especially so around settlements. Maleha Zaytim was built in the early 2000s on the edge of Silwan. We had to go through gates guarded by both police and armed private security to get in and meet with Yeshai Fleischer, an advocate for the settlement.
It's not fear. It's defense. It's defense. This is a Jewish neighborhood in Jerusalem as part of a broader Arab neighborhood. What an opportunity for coexistence, right?
How's that working out so far?
It's working out okay, except for the forces of jihad. Arabs walk freely in our city, and we should be able to walk freely in our city as well. Because of the jihadist ideology that's prevalent in this region and at this time, we have to be defensive. And the Jewish people, after a long history of persecution, know what it is to be defensive. And so this neighborhood is closed off to the street level, and it's only our people inside here. Other people want to claim that we are not the indigenous people of this land, that we're foreigners and occupiers, and they want to claim that we're interlopers and somehow...
Settlers.
Well, the word settlers can be misunderstood different ways, but in any case, right, that's right. They basically think that we don't belong here. Let's come and enjoy the beautiful scenery. I gotta help this flag a little bit here. That's right. That's right. That's right. This is a view that we've been waiting for 2,000 years. Okay? And this is some of my Arab neighbors down there. And this is the Temple Mount. This is the focus of Jewish prayer for the last 3,000 years. And here's the Mount of Olives, which has seen Jewish burial for the last 3,000 years. So when people tell me that you're living in occupied land, I point to this mountain of history and I ask them, could it be that I'm occupying the ancestral burial grounds of my people? Well, what do you want us to do, pack up our bags and leave? That's not a solution for us. We're against violence, against Arabs, vigilante violence, but we will find and uproot the jihad. We will find them in their bedrooms, and we will not allow them to derail our project of coming back home.
In Silwan, we also met with Jawad Siam, a local activist and director of the Wadi Hilwe Information Center, a group of local residents trying to counter the narrative of settlers who claim the neighborhood as their own.
I have the right to start clashes. I have the right to start fighting because I am under occupation. So even if I started, I don't like this language always telling, well, but you started, it was, everyone was okay. Look, this settler is quiet living. He's not quiet. Silwan means quiet, silent, means it's in Arabic. But since the settlers came, it became the most problematic area. Before it was area that it's open for everyone. Now it's controlled by the settlers. They try to say we want to live in peace and coexistence. How coexistence? You come to my village, you occupy houses, you bring your security guards, the coexistence you make with your donkey to ride on it. Just imagine they come from North America to live here. It's crazy to come from Brooklyn. I don't know from where they come from. In order to live in this in an area where very difficult, and people don't like you, don't want you to be in, their neighbors. It's about the settler wants to come to take over and to kick you out of the house, out of your house, out of your neighborhood. The settler feels himself the king. They made this street for the tourists in order not to see the village. This is the most beautiful area, and they made it for the tourists. And even they took it from Palestinian families. The project of taking over Jerusalem started in Silwan. The city of David is the way to control the rest of the Jerusalem Palestinian neighborhoods.
The City of David Foundation runs the archaeological complex, offering biblical history lessons and tours of the excavations both on site and online. Thousands of visitors pass through every year, most of them oblivious to the deeply contested nature of this area. While we were walking around with Jawad, we ran into a couple of Mormon tourists from Florida who vacation in Jerusalem every year.
Are you from Israel? Are you in Israel?
I'm Palestinian, from Palestine.
Palestine. So in this area here, are there a lot of Israelis and Palestinians living together?
First of all, you are talking about the Palestinian area. You are in the Palestinian area here.
This here?
Here you are in the Palestinian area.
Okay.
You never heard about the Palestinians have been killed by the security guards here from these settlers?
Actually, we have.
And it's for me, it's like, you know, when you come from the States, just you see Netanyahu is a hero. For us, he's a criminal.
Yeah.
And
if Netanyahu, if he's going to protect the Jews, he needs to protect you.
No, he doesn't protect me. He's a
he
criminal.
needs to.
He's
then,
a criminal
then
for
he
me.
is a criminal. You want the same rights as the settlers.
I don't want the same rights as the settlers. I want them to leave my house.
The official line of both Palestinian and Israeli governments, and of the Western governments mediating between them, continues to be that peace will be achieved through the establishment of two separate states. But realities on the ground are becoming so entangled that separating them may soon become impossible. Yehuda HaKohen was born in New York City and lived in Maleh HaZeitim before moving to another settlement near the Palestinian city of Ramallah in the West Bank.
I think that the Jews and the Palestinians are living in two completely different movies, and we don't even understand the movie of the other. Israelis completely self-identify as indigenous. They feel connected to every mountain, every rock, every tree. Their national history unfolded here.
Even though you were born and raised in your city?
I was born and raised in New York City as a result of injustice committed against my people. I got to New York the same way black people got to New York. White people invaded my country, destroyed our temple, uprooted us from our soil, and exiled us from our land. And now there's a sense that here we are back in Jerusalem, and we have to fight for Jerusalem because the whole world wants to take it away from us. I obviously moved here with my wife and children to resist it. We're living here in a way that is polarizing both sides, that makes the Palestinians experience us as coming in as conquerors, and it makes us experience a reality where we feel we need walls to protect us from angry Palestinians. We should be able to walk around freely without fear and without the sense that we need armed guards or fences or walls around us. It should be normal that Palestinians and Israelis are able to live together in these neighborhoods.
Pretty far away from that, right?
We are far away from that, but that's part of the work we have ahead of us, meaning that's part of what makes life exciting. The world isn't perfect, and we're here to perfect it.
As settlers like Yehuda keep building in East Jerusalem, authorities have also ordered hundreds of Palestinian homes to be demolished because they were built without the proper permits, which are almost impossible for Palestinians to get. They cost thousands of dollars, can take years to process, and rarely get approved, which means Palestinians often end up building illegally. Khalid Zier had his home in Silwan demolished twice in 2 years because of permit violations.
كل ما بيخطوا خطوة للسلام السلطة المستوطنين ما بدهم يسووا سلام بيجوا بيستوطنوا هون بيبنوا مستوطنات بهدوا بيوت بيصادروا أراضي. هذه الأرض لسيدي الله يرحمه طبعاً ورثها عن أبوه وورثناها إحنا أباً عن جد. أنا بزرع طبعاً وبعتاش من هذه الأرض حتى الشجر خلعوا لي إياه يعني ما خلوش ولا شيء. بالمقابل هذه دار يوسي هاي إسرائيل. أيوة. هذا ما في رخصة. طبعاً في مستوطنات زي ما أنت شايف العلم الإسرائيلي هون. مع السلام مش ضد السلام بس ولكن سلام مبني على عدل مش سلام مبني على مستوطنات وقتل ومصادرة أراضي وهدم بيوت. أنو سلام هذا؟ السلام اللي بدهم إياه هذول الصهاينة استسلام.
Homes built illegally are not the only ones getting demolished. As tensions in Jerusalem escalated, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu announced that Israel would resume demolishing the homes of Palestinians responsible for terrorist attacks.
אנחנו נחזיק את החוק, הסדר והביטחון לכל רחובותיה של ירושלים.
Israeli authorities claim these demolitions are necessary to deter violence, but Palestinians say they are a form of collective punishment and cause even more resentment. This is the home of a Palestinian man that was behind one of the car attacks that sparked the latest violence, in which 2 people were killed. His home was demolished earlier this week, and we're going to try to speak with his family. As Jerusalem's Palestinian neighborhoods erupted, some predicted that what is underway in the city is the beginning of another intifada. But unlike previous outbursts of resistance, the latest episodes have been the acts of individuals acting alone. Abdurrahman Hashaludi was one of them. A 20-year-old from Silwan, last October, Shaludi rammed his father's car into a crowd of people at a railway stop. A 3-month-old Israeli-American baby girl and a 22-year-old woman from Ecuador were killed in the attack, and several more people were injured. Shaludi was shot by police on the scene. 2 weeks later, 3 more people were killed when another Palestinian man drove his van into a crowd.
The Israeli government puts his hand on this house. They said that it is I don't know in English. Irhab, عملية, terrorism accident, not a normal accident. Yes, and a settler was killed. So they demolished this house.
What about your other children? How are they doing now? Do they understand what's going on?
They grew up in Silwan. It is normal for them that the Israeli soldiers demolish houses. The violence here in Jerusalem are increasing from the settlers and the Palestinians. But when they punished only the Palestinians, nor the settlers. They don't demolish their houses. if the occupation ends, we will gain peace only.
Both Palestinians and Israelis say they want peace, but Jerusalem is more divided today than it has ever been in the past.
You know, I know it's very complicated, but at the same time, it's very easy in the occupation, and they will not see stones. I promise that we Palestinians will not disappear from here.
You can basically kiss the two-state solution goodbye. It's not going to happen. We're going to continue to move in there, and eventually we are going to have more Jewish communities there, more Israeli electricity, more Israeli roads, more Israeli taxes, and then in the end it's just going to be Israel.
This is occupation par excellence. There are those who are empowered and they are the settlers, and those who are living under the thumb. We're going to see more of the same. Kick the can down the road. Well, I'm telling you, there's no more road and there's no more can. You either deal with this or you're in trouble.